Hi everyone, Jade from Career Journey Professional, helping you to actualize that state. You can actually be excited, get you out of bed, feeling fulfilled in that dream job role in your career. So today I want to talk about, it's a topic that has been reoccurring a lot within the sessions that I have with my clients, and I think it's a topic that people usually undermine how important it is, how much it can really influence, how much it can really affect how happy you are at job, which is how to work with people you don't like, or how to work with people that you don't really get along, you don't vibe along with them. So a lot of the clients, I would say 70 to 80% of the clients that I have worked with who left their previous job or who left several jobs, a major component of the actual reason they left the job was they're not happy with the people that they're working with. Especially when you're getting more senior, the job task itself can be quite similar. However, it's the people that you're working with makes the difference. And so today I'm going to share what you can do about it and how you can make yourself being heard, being recognized, and happier at job. So I will give several examples. The first one is I have a client who has been it's been 7 years after she graduated. So here and there she worked for 3 jobs. And it was unfortunate. Her first job, the second job, and part of the third job, she was having a really tough time with her boss. Second one was a supervisor or team leader. She had this conclusion that she would just never get along with anyone. She would just never have a harmonious relationship with her manager or supervisor or team leader at work. I would say the first thing is, if you had really bad experiences or really upsetting things happen at work with your manager, with your supervisor, with your team leader. I personally experienced that as well. So one of my previous jobs, my manager was always looking at micro things, like, did you log into your system on time? We were trapped in the lift, so we were like 2 minutes late for work, and he's like, oh, good evening, good afternoon. He said good afternoon, and I said good evening. Anyways, and I had another team leader when I was working in IBM. He would tell me how many minutes and how many seconds I went to the bathroom. It may sound really ridiculous to you, but it actually happened. Now I look back, it's crazy. Anyway, and he is that kind of person. He never communicate to me. He preferred not to communicate with me face to face. He always loved to use the internal chat system, like a messenger type of thing, to communicate. And that's just who he is. He is introverted. He's an IT person. He's a bit nerdy, and that's just who he is. However, I was very upset back in that time, and I was unhappy, and that's one of the reasons I left the job. But of course, there are other reasons as well. So now when I coach my client, it's really to objectively look at a situation. I realize that clients tend to fall into a polarized 2 categories. Either they blame the other person too much, or they blame themselves too much. So either they blame everything's that manager's fault, or everything's that team leader's fault, or they're just picking on me. Whatever I do is just never enough for them. That's a group of people. And the second group, it's all my fault. It's all my fault. My personality is flawed. It's a very heavy phrase. My client actually said that to me. She said, I reckon my personality is flawed. I was so sad to hear that. She had that conclusion after 7 years working in several unhappy jobs. She reckons she is flawed. She is not. Anyway, so there are people who just keep blaming themselves, and then this is what I always say. People who are really good at self-criticism, I was one of them. Self-criticism, I am flawed, I'm not enough, I am not good. That's just a conclusion. That's not a solution. And you're just really just beating yourself up, and you should try to be the best friend for yourself, not beating yourself up. But anyhow, so the way to look at it is really objectively look at the situation. Chances are, each party has their own flaws. Each party has their own responsibilities. So a lot of the times for my clients, a lot of them are really humble, and they could be at the time that they don't have so much confidence, and also a lot of them haven't worked that long. They haven't really experienced what is a good manager like. They haven't really experienced any harmonious relationship at work, which is sad. So they have this kind of biased and sad conclusion of relationship at work and how they can be treated. So objectively look at that situation. So I encourage you, if you have such unhappy, upsetting experiences, please do talk to people who are probably more senior, who have more experience. Could be people like career consultant, or could be a psychologist, or even just a mentor from your workplace or from other place, who might be senior, who are ready to hold the space and try to understand you and help you to decipher what happened, and try to help you to tackle that situation, but not just blame you or blame the other person, because either way it's not going to be right. So acknowledge what really happened and acknowledge who's responsible for what, and chances are the two parties are either responsible for something, and this is where it's going to make the difference. We can't really control others, we can't really control what happened, but we can only control how we respond to things, right? So for the past, maybe we didn't communicate that properly, that much, that properly we didn't articulate ourselves, we didn't make it clear. Even in those situations, when your manager are not treating you fairly, you should have stood up for yourself. Take responsibility. What does that mean? That means I didn't really speak clearly, that he wasn't treating me fairly. Even I speak up, he probably wouldn't, but I need to make it clear to him. That's what you're gonna do next time. That's what you need to, maybe not next time, maybe today, even that incident has passed through 2-3 months, you can still go and talk to your manager and tell him that I was quite emotional, I wasn't able to express myself properly. I just want to express that I feel like I wasn't really expressing myself. You can always do that. Yes, work is a professional place, and yes, work, you have to talk in a diplomatic way sometimes, you have to talk in a professional way sometimes, but always speak your truth. So the first part is take responsibility of what's yours, and if it's not your fault, if it's not your responsibility, don't take on it, don't blame yourself. And if it is something you can do, I couldn't really talk today, if it is something you can do, please take action. Start to speak your truth, which is my second point. Express yourself strategically, logically, speak your truth. And I am a believer of at work. Somehow we are taught to don't be emotional at work, but that's not true. Everyone has emotions. I had one of these general managers in my previous job. Every week, once or twice or so, he would bang the table. I mean, I'm not in his team. I don't know what happened, but he looks so emotional. And he does that, and no one say anything. Who says you cannot be emotional? And when people are not treating you fairly, when people are not giving you that opportunity to express yourself, you need to do that for yourself. So I had a client who she is of course a Singaporean Chinese cultural background, and she was working with a female Indian manager, and they were not getting along. So that Indian manager was very emotional. When she comes in, she's not in a good mood, everyone is tense. And she tends to pick on the soft ones, and my client was one of them. And eventually she had to leave that job to get rid of that manager so she can work in a better environment. And guess what happened? The second manager she had in another major bank, it's still again an emotional Indian lady. No, I'm not saying anything against Indian. It was just, if you're not dealing with whatever difficulties you have at work, in terms of expressing yourself, in terms of communicating with people who you don't really get along, it will always come back. It is your homework. Speak your truth. So if you don't, sooner or later, if you don't speak your true feelings, if you don't really ask for what you want, if you don't stand up for yourself, it will come back, and you have to do it. And so every encounter in our life, we will always learn something. No matter how much you hate that person, no matter how hard it is to get along with that person, it is your choice to learn from it. And you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be the perfect from the first time. You don't have to be perfect even till the end. All you need to do is try to learn and find your own way to do it. So here is a way that you can do it. Always use the facts of what actually happened, what incident, what was that particular event, but don't focus on that person. Don't put labels on that person. Maybe you do feel like that manager always assigned a difficult task to you, always assigned the shittiest worst thing to you. Maybe you do feel that, but tell her the facts. Last month you assigned this client to me, and that client was complaining for 3 days, and this week there was another client assigned to me, and blah blah blah. And then ask them, what do they think? Ask them, what can they do? The underlying is maybe you do think that, but still try to focus on the logic and try to focus on the facts and try to focus on what happened. And always always goes back to what you want to achieve in your career and what the team is trying to achieve for that team. I'll give you another example. So one of my previous managers, whenever I ask for a leave, he just denied. He just doesn't. He keep postponing. It took me 4 to 5 months before I asked for my first leave. Whether it's me myself not being well, or it's my family was not really getting well and I needed a leave to go back and visit them, he always just say no. For several times, and I started to think, why does he keep saying no to me? I understand him being a manager. He needs to make sure that when it's busy, there are enough people covering the shift, there are enough people dealing with clients. However, hold on a sec. So I waited, and I realized that I waited and I observed. He did that to everyone. If I didn't pay attention, I wouldn't notice. I would probably have that conclusion. He's just making it difficult for me. However, it's not. He just make it difficult for everyone. And that's just fact. He just made it difficult for everyone. He probably think people are asking for leave just to go on holiday or just to relax, but he panicked that there's not enough people to cover that. So the next time when I asked, I checked with everyone in our team, which is not my job to do that, but I still did. I checked with everyone in our team, are they asking for leave at that time? And they're not. So I went to the manager, I presented, I do want to leave, I'd appreciate if you can give me a leave. On top of that, I did check everyone else, it's available at that time. It should be enough people covering that. We will do a good job. And eventually we got it. There were different hurdles. So that's the thing. Observe how other people deal with that person as well. Maybe other people have different dynamics and different personality, and try to learn from them. Learn from that. Here, I will share an article from Harvard Business Review, how to work with people that you don't really get along, which I think is really useful. Have a read of it. And the third point is trying to understand. The third point is trying to understand different perspective. It's not our job to understand what the managers are after, and managers are the group of people who are under the most pressurized situation in life. They have so many targets, KPIs for the team, for themselves, for different people, and then they have to make sure it's implemented to us. So try to understand what you're looking for, and if you can, look for a solution that's a win-win situation for both what you wanted. Maybe it's a leave, or maybe it's a promotion, maybe it's a pay rise, maybe you want to change to other departments. But you also look for that hands-on process. You look for, if you can, for a potential substitute for yourself, for other people to cover yourself for some time when there is this transition period before a new person come in. You are making it easy for your manager. Try to understand their perspective and then ask for help, especially when you're not communicating on the same page. State the facts. This is what happened. I wanted this, but it didn't really happen. And what can I do to help you to help me? That's one of the big tricks that we use with my clients when they are when they're going to the performance review room and then asking for more responsibilities, asking for that title rise, or asking for the pay rise. What can I do to help you as a manager, to help me to ask for that rise, to ask for that as a leader? What can I do? Ask for the right question, and always fast for that win-win possibilities. And it is shared in the article as well, so that the person in the article, she was actually at a quite senior role, and for her to work further, to have further career progression within that company, she has to get along with the person directly above her. I think it was a president or vice president, like that. But they were really different people. One of them is just very introverted. She likes to work on her own problems, doesn't like to communicate before the problem is solved. The other is very extroverted. She probably like to work through things, brainstorm things. So they're not really communicating on the same page. But in the end, they just have to sit down to acknowledge that they have that difference, which is really complementary to each other. Different personalities should form a great team because you're complementing, mentoring each other's shortcomings or the good comings. And then she asked that key question: how can I make it easy for us? What can I do to make sure we achieve this, we do that? The quality of our life, it's obvious a lot of the time it's the quality of the questions we ask. Try to always ask positive questions, speak your truth, speak that you feel like you're not getting along, you're not working efficiently together, speak that it looks like he or she is not emotionally happy. What can you do? What can you contribute to make it easy for both of you? That's it, guys. Something I really want to share, and it's something I learned through my personal journey as well. Always learn to speak your truth in a way that's not harming others, in a way that's logical. State the facts, state the actual incidents, be objective, and look for a solution that's win-win. Great. If you do have such questions, and if you do have such concerns about how to communicate and how to even ask for what you want, and stand up for what you want in your career, do reach out to us, follow us on Facebook, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.